I, Chair Heather Miller, call the virtual electrical and elevator board meeting of May 27th, 2021 to order at 9:30 a.m. Debbie, can you please call the roll?
Yes, ma'am. Chair Heather Miller.
Here.
Vice Chair Thomas Kyle is excused. VJ Barlow.
Present.
Amy Byer is excused. Elizabeth Bunga. Here. Randy Carmody.
Here.
John Flagel.
Here.
Rob McNeil.
Here.
Ryan Richards.
Here.
Randy Smith.
Here.
Madam Chair, we just have a quorum.
Thank you, Debbie. I believe everybody got the amended agenda last night, that there was a late submission to item VII.A. If does anybody have any changes to the agenda? If not, I, Chair Miller, rule the amended agenda and order of business approved. And in the agenda, you got the draft of the meeting minutes from our last meeting. And if nobody has anything to add to that, I, Chair Miller, rule the draft meeting minutes of March 25th, 2021 final. The date of our next meeting is July 22nd, 2021. There we go. And I'm trying to see, we don't have either of our farewellers on this meeting that I can tell, but I'm going to read their farewells anyway. So last month we were going to say farewell to Scott Hall. Scott was first appointed into the board position of the electrical equipment supplier who otherwise qualifies by experience in the industry to an unexpired term June 1, 2010, and then was reappointed in the same position July 1, 2013, where he served until March 31st, 2021. Scott has worked in the electrical construction field and wholesale supply for well over 40 years. He has worked for North Coast Electric since 1994 and worked for Platt Electric Supply before that for 10 years. Scott's been an asset to the electrical and elevator board for 11 years, and he will be sorely missed. But I'm happy for him that he's retired out of the business and going to go enjoy some other things besides this board. We're also saying goodbye to Vernon Palmrose. He was first appointed into the board position of a representative for power and light industry to an unexpired term December 19th, 2016 to June 30th, 2020, when he decided it was time to retire and travel with his wife, Betty. Vernon has over 30 years of experience in the utility industry for Portland General Electric and has gained a wealth of experience as an electrician. Vernon has worked for Portland General Electric for 21 years and worked for a number of electrical companies before PGE. Vern has also been an asset to the electrical and elevator board for 5 years, and he too will sorely be missed. And just a personal thank you to both of those gentlemen for their service, because none of us are getting paid. So speaking of people leaving, I'm about to term out. Well, I already have termed out, and I'll be leaving the board probably this fall as soon as the Senate confirms my replacement, who I see the person who's applied to be my replacement is on this call, Sarah Curry. And I appreciate you stepping up, Sarah. But because of my position on this board, I'm also holding another position on the Construction Industry Energy Board, which takes 2 people from electrical and elevator board on it, and then there's other people from industry and government and other trade boards, or whatever you call them. So I would like to step down from that position now. And so what we would like to do are open nominations for that position. And Tyler Glaze, I don't know if it's okay for me to nominate people.
Madam Chair, this is Tyler
Certainly may,
Glaze.
Madam Chair.
You may.
Pardon? Is that a yes or no?
Madam Chair, that's a yes. You may nominate people.
Okay, so I'm going to nominate Ryan Richards to take that seat on the Construction Industry Energy Board. He has to accept the nomination, and if anyone else.
I accept your nomination. Thank you.
Is there any other interest? So I'll make a motion to approve Ryan in taking that position, and then Debbie will have to take the vote.
BJ Barlow,
I'm sorry,
BJ,
was there a second or a discussion or anything, or is it just nomination, or?
there's no need for a second, but Heather?
So I'm unclear exactly. The nomination is for Ryan Richardson to chair the Electrical and Elevator Board, or the Energy Board.
The nomination is for Ryan to take one of the Electrical and Elevator Board seats on the Construction Industry Energy Board. So this is, you're still stuck with me for about 4 to 6 more months.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just wasn't clear on how everything was connecting there. I vote in favor of your motion, yes.
Elizabeth Bunga?
Aye.
Randy Carmody?
Aye.
John Flagle?
Aye.
Rob McNeil?
Aye.
Ryan Richards?
Aye.
Randy Smith?
Aye.
Chair Heather Miller?
Aye.
Madam Chair, the motion passes unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you, board. I think my experience in the industry will add some good insight to the board, and on various tenant improvement projects, doing lighting and all that type of stuff for energy management. So hope to represent you guys all very well.
Thank you, Ryan. We're moving on to agenda item 2, public comment. Tyler, do we have people signed up?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Excuse me, Tyler Glaze from Building Codes Division. I do not believe we have anyone signed up, but is there anyone connected to this call who wishes to make a public comment? I am not hearing anyone, Madam Chair.
All righty then. Right on to agenda item 3, reports. Todd Smith is connected.
Yes, good morning, Chair Miller and members of the board. Todd Smith, Enforcement Manager with the division. I just wanted to give you some quick updates on some staffing changes here in the enforcement section. The first one is we have a new contested case representative, Michael Mayorga Hamilton. He comes to us from as a commission counsel for the State of California's Fair Political Practices Commission. He started at the beginning of the month. We're really excited to have him. And that timing is really great for us, as Sarah Blam-Linville, who you've seen before you, is on a job rotation out of the division. So that is a really fortuitous timing of events for us on that one. After that, I've got nothing else, but I'm happy to answer any questions. All right, hearing none. Turn it over to Megan.
We move on to Megan.
Yes, I'll turn it over to Megan at this point.
Hi, good morning. Chair Miller, members of the board. For the record, Megan Sackett, contested case representative for the division. Through the chair, agenda item 3A. Before the board is a summary of consent orders recently negotiated by the division on the board's behalf for settlement prior to hearing. We have entered into consent agreements in 5 cases since our last board meeting. All settlements, including the amount owed and suspended civil penalties, fall within the guidelines on the penalty matrix, and they contain the standard conditions. Board action is required on these cases. All of them are fairly standard, and a lot of them are related, but I am available to answer any questions you have regarding actions on these cases. Again, board approval or denial on these consent orders is required. You can choose to approve or deny the agreements as a whole or take action on each agreement separately. So the first one up is C 2020-0082. This is Goodness Power Incorporated. It was Sarah's case. And in July 2020, this was an electrical contractor who had an apprentice while working on behalf of them. And he was not approved for indirect supervision, installed 2 new 240-volt electrical circuits, Romex wiring from an electrical distribution panel, and a new electrical circuit for a refrigerator outlet at a residence in Salem. The company was noticed for allowing an unlicensed individual to perform electrical installations, and there was no electrical permit. They were a first-time violator, so they were assessed $3,000. We imposed $750 and then suspended $2,250. The next case is related. It is C 2020-0083. This is Timothy Goodness, another Sarah case, and same facts as above, but Timothy Goodness is the registered signing supervisor, RMI corporate officer, and president of Goodness Power. And he was noticed for failing to perform the signing supervisor duties because he was present at the job site for a short period of time in the morning, but left by the time the apprentice performed the electrical installations. He is a first-time violator as well, so he was assessed $3,000. $750 was imposed and suspended the $2,250. The next 3 cases are all related. The first one up is C 2020-0076, which is Assured Electric, another case of Sarah's. In June of 2020, while working on behalf of Assured, there was an apprentice who was not approved for indirect supervision. He installed electrical wiring for 6 pre-existing recessed lighting fixtures, Romex wiring for 2 newly installed exterior reciprocals, Romex wiring to power an exterior light, Romex wiring within the wall for 5 to 6 electrical receptacles, and he installed 5 to 6 electrical receptacles for an accessory dwelling in Corvallis. The Assured does have a valid electrical contractor's license, so they were noticed for allowing an unlicensed individual to perform electrical work, and there was no electrical permit. They're a first-time violator. $3,000 was assessed, imposed $750, and suspended $2,250. The next case is C 2020-0077. Michael Zima. He is the registered signing supervisor, RMI registered agent, and manager of Assured. He was present at the job site for a short period of time in the morning, but left by the time the apprentice installed all of those electrical installations. So he was noticed with failing to perform the signing supervisor duties. Another first-time violator, same scheme as before, assessed $3,000, imposed $750, suspended $2,250. And then our last one that we have up is C 2020-0078. And I apologize in advance if I totally mispronounce his name, but Daniil Gorshnikov is another case of Sarah's, and he was the apprentice who installed all the electrical wiring stated earlier for assured. And so he did not have an electrical journeyman license. He was an apprentice, not approved for indirect supervision, but he is a first-time violator. So we assessed $2,000, imposed $500, and suspended $1,500. Are there any questions that I can answer?
So this is basically two cases, Megan. How were these installations discovered? That
is a fantastic question. And I know that on Goroshnikov, he had been doing it a couple of times. Like he had been performing a lot of indirect supervisions on his own, but he couldn't remember any of the addresses. And for assured, that case started when our BCD investigator, Russ Darling, talked about having concern about unlicensed electrical work at this location. And then a City of Corvallis building instructor went out and did some investigation, and that's how that came forth. And then I believe with Goodness Power, another similar, with the both combined with an electrical contractor and unlicensed apprentice, but this one originated with a email complaint from a City of Salem compliance officer. So two different complaints, but similar situations.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any questions for Megan?
As a license holder and a signing supervisor for a company, I appreciate the state, taking action and doing their enforcement, because we all work hard for our licenses. And so I'd like to make a motion to approve the findings.
We have a motion. And if it's needs more words, I trust Tyler, you'll pop in. But if it doesn't, Debbie, can you take a vote, please?
Yes, ma'am. BJ Barlow?
Aye.
Elizabeth Bunga?
Aye.
Randy Carmody?
Aye.
John Flagel?
Aye.
Rob McNeil?
Aye.
Ryan Richards?
Aye.
Randy Smith?
Aye.
Chair Heather Miller?
Aye.
Madam Chair, the motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, ma'am. Moving on to agenda item III.B, the elevator program update with Mr. Warren Hartung.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. For the record, Warren Hartung, Chief Elevator Inspector for Statewide Services. I have a lengthy report as usual. In other words, not much new. I do have delayed audio on my computer, though, so forgive me if I seem a little out of sorts on that. So I'm lagging about 20 seconds, so forgive that. Anyway, I don't really have anything new to report. We do have an influx in traffic going through the airports again, and that's leading to an increase in accident reports, but nothing unexpected for high levels of travel.
Yeah, and unless you change the graphs, it looks like the reds are higher than the blues, but they're shorter than the blues. Or one.
Hang on, video's catching up, or the audio's catching up now. So I didn't hear your question, Heather. I'm sorry.
It was more of a statement. I should just type it in. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, wow, it's got some bad sound today. We'll move on to agenda item 3C, the electrical program update with Mr. Keith Anderson.
Good morning, Keith Anderson, electrical program chief. So yes, it's been very, very busy since the last time that we met. And I'll try to update you on all of what's going on. So the inspector code update classes are going well. And I wanted to also make it clear that those are available to anyone that wants to watch those. They're not just for inspectors. So they're available on the website, on the licensing or the training page. For inspectors, there's a self-verification form that they need to fill out for each discipline that they watch, and send that into training so they can track that. But we've had good comments on all of those training videos that the staff has put together. So another one, we had a couple folks come in last time and talk about updating the limited building maintenance electrician rules. And so I researched doing that, what it would take. And what I discovered was that the rules are written from the statute, which is law. And so we're not able to really modify the rules, and stay with the statute wording. And so I worked with the committee members there a little bit and explained that to them and gave them some ideas on how to work around it, using the terminology. It was written prior to the technology that we have today, and how to try to tie that in, for the type of work they're doing today. So I think that they found that helpful. And anyway, I couldn't find a way that we could do any rule modifications, for them at this time. So let's see what else we have here. Okay, so we had the generator issues last time because of all of the power outages and that. And so we put together a document, electrical safety generator connections, and that was put on the electrical program page there, and it was also sent out to those that are signed up. And it talks about backfeeding concerns, generator connection best practices, and just to bring some awareness, safety in that, how to do it properly. So we took care of that, and again, that is available for those, those that want to take a look at that. So, so that's it for the program update. There's more things to come, but for this portion, that's what I have for you. If you have any questions, I can take those.
Hey, Keith, I'm curious if, I can't remember if it was the last meeting or the meeting prior to that, where Idaho had come to us asking us to clarify for their state. I think they're state senate or legislature. I don't remember. House. About them changing their apprenticeship ratio to no ratio at all. Do we know that outcome right now, or if that's moved forward in their state body?
I do know that a letter was sent over to the legislature. Tyler took care of that for us, and I have not heard of the outcome of that, at this time. But it did get submitted, for the board, the concerns that were there.
Okay, thank you. I can Google it. I was just curious.
I don't know if Tyler has anything that he can add to that.
Madam Chair, I'm looking it up right now. Last I checked, which was about 2 weeks ago or so, I do not believe the bill had moved out of their committee. So I'm not certain about Idaho's, rules regarding when a bill is dead and when it is not, but I do not believe it is.
I checked on it a week or so ago, and I think it was House Bill 145, and it looked like it hadn't moved from looking online, but I'm not the best policy analyst to look at that type of stuff.
Okay. Thank you, Keith. Anybody else has any questions?
Thank you.
Moving on to new business, agenda item 7A. Tyler Glaze, policy analyst.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, members of the board, my name is Tyler Glaze, policy analyst for the division. So first off, we have some continued education courses. We had a total of 98 applications from 30 organizations. That includes the 2 additional courses that were added. 57 courses were recommended for approval. 12 courses were recommended for denial. 28 instructors were recommended for approval, and 1 instructor was recommended for denial. And just below item 7A on your packets is the matrix, if you care to take a look at it. And I am here to answer any questions you might have, but otherwise, Madam Chair, this will require a motion.
I would like to make a motion that we approve the courses reviewed by the committee.
I second.
Debbie, can you take a vote, please?
Yes, ma'am. BJ Barlow,
Aye.
Elizabeth Bunga, aye. Randy Carmody,
Aye.
John Flagel,
Aye.
Robert McNeil,
Aye.
Randy Smith,
Aye.
Ryan Richards,
Aye.
Chair Heather Miller.
Aye.
Madam Chair, the motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Debbie. Agenda item 7B is we're reviewing the request from HIS to be recognized as a national organization, and Tyler is going to give us the overview of this.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, members of the board, Tyler Glaze, policy analyst for the division. From time to time, we receive applications from national organizations requesting to essentially operate under an administrative rule for continuing education that allows them to have a number of their courses accepted without having to go through the normal course application process. The rule allows that because they are nationally recognized bodies that are, they're well recognized within their various industries. So this is one of those. The Health and Safety Institute has requested approval as a nationally recognized organization for the purposes of continuing education. Their letter is attached to your board packet as agenda item 7B. And Madam Chair, this will require a motion as well.
So I have a few questions about this. One of the questions is, what does the Continuing Education Committee recommend as they've reviewed these courses previously?
Madam Chair, I know that the Continuing Education Committee, at least for electrical, and I'm not certain, but I believe other boards as well, if I can recall off the top of my head, has approved HSI courses in the past. I don't believe that this issue comes before them per our administrative rule. I believe it just comes directly to the board because the board has the authority to declare them a nationally recognized organization for the purposes of that rule and for the purposes of this special, continuing education track, if you will. But I know that HSI courses have been approved in the past.
Do you know what types of classes they're trying to get approval for? Because it seems like a pretty broad range, and I didn't see anything touching electrical.
Madam Chair, thank you. I believe that the courses they're requesting to teach are primarily code-related courses, specifically with regard to first aid, CPR, things like that. I don't believe that they're stretching outside those because I don't believe that is within their skill set, if you will, but that's just an editorial. I believe that they're just asking for, because they're a health and safety institute, if you will, that's their name. They're focusing primarily on those health, first aid, safety related courses.
Through the chair, from reading their application, it doesn't look like it just limits that to healthcare and whatnot. So I would like to send this back to either staff or the Continuing Education Committee to kind of look through their application a little bit more than just giving a national institute free rein on our course curriculum.
I don't know what the next step is in how we communicate that, but I was a little iffy on this one too, because the administrative rule that allows this board to approve them as a national basis says that we are to specify the scope of courses taught by the provider and the type of credit that will be awarded for various courses. And I don't feel like we have enough information at this point.
And Madam Chair, if I may, I can reach out to HSI and ask them to clarify the exact courses they're trying to apply to teach, especially with regard to the electrical and elevator board, and provide the board with more information on that.
Okay, that would be great. Do we have to make a motion to do that then, or do we have to deny it in this case in order to move on?
Madam Chair, I do believe that you can table this decision for the next board meeting pending additional information, but anyone else from VII.D, if you do not believe that is the case, please speak up and let me know, but I believe you can table this for the next board meeting.
Okay.
Great. No motion required.
All righty then. Thank you for doing that, Tyler. Doing 3 screens at once. So, all right. So now, agenda item 7C, we're reviewing the scope of the limited residential electrician license. Keith is going to speak to this. Yes? Mr. Anderson?
Yes. Keith Anderson, Electrical Program Chief. So the reason this came about, when this was, the license was made, it followed what the NEC was, the 3 stories, maximum for Romex, and also we had, different structural codes, and, the line was pretty clear when it was originally drafted. And what's happened, as the codes change, and then the Oregon Residential Structural Code is a different, I think it's changed 2 or 3 times. And so the line's been moving around and nobody really knew, what it was. It doesn't line up with what an inspector can inspect, and then what the LR can actually do, for an installation. So it didn't really change anything as far as what the LR scope is. It just clarifies it and brings it up, to current guidelines or a current, line of what they can and where the line is and what they can't do. And anyway, we got industry involved with this, City of Portland, several jurisdictions. So this has been something that's been in the works for a little while, and anyway, it's there again to help, both inspectors and contractors to know what the scope of that license is. And anyway, that's what it's about. I know Tony Rocco, the structural program chief, was a huge help with this, in getting a clear line, and I know he has offered to be available, if you have any questions on that part of it. So that's what it's about.
Anybody have any questions for or Tony? Well, then I'll make a motion to approve the license clarification regarding the scope of the limited residential license under OAR 918-282-0180.
I'll second.
Debbie, can you take a vote?
Yes, ma'am. CJ Barlow,
Aye.
Elizabeth Bunga,
Aye, and thank you.
Randy Carmody,
Aye.
John Flagel,
Aye.
Rob McNeil,
Aye.
Ryan Richards,
Aye.
Randy Smith,
Aye.
Chair Heather Miller.
Aye.
Madam Chair, the motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. And thanks to the people that work on
Thank
these.
you.
There's a lot of stuff that's like putting the roof on your house. It's not that fun and exciting, but it's important. So moving on to agenda item 7D, we're going to review an amendment to the administrative rule regarding the solar installation. And it's, if you saw it, if you read it in the agenda about a Senate bill changed the law, and now we have to change the administrative rules to come into line with that. And Tyler can discuss this if needed, or Chief Anderson will answer any questions. And Administrator Cox and Todd Smith are connected for help too. There's a lot of people you guys can talk to about this one.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. I believe Nathan would like to say something.
Yes, Madam Chair and members of the board. My name is Nathan Phillips, and I am representing NICA. Hang on just a second. 5 minutes. I just came and knocked on my door. Sorry. We NICA worked closely with IBW and OSEA on the development of this statute with the legislature. It has passed, I think it's passed the legislature. I don't know if it's been signed yet. Alana would know that. It has been. And we support these changes. The rules that are before you are really almost verbatim out of the statute, so we don't have a lot of latitude. There's some changes that we could consider in terms of in paragraph E of what is that, 4E, I guess, 4A-E, the length of the maximum distance. That was an issue that was came up in the legislature, but at this point, modifying that's not before the board, but it could come up later. Other than that, we NICA, and I think the whole coalition of folks that worked on the bill would support these rules and ask you to adopt them. And I'm happy to answer any questions about the process of developing the statute or these rules or what their impact is. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Nathan.
And Madam Chair, if I may, this is Tyler Glaze, policy analyst for the division. So yes, as just to echo what everyone else has said, the legislature has passed SB 338, and it has now been signed by the governor, so it is now state law. And these rules just enact the provisions of that Senate bill. And essentially what we're doing here is just creating the administrative rules so that VII.D can actually take the steps that the legislature asked us to take. The board has rulemaking authority to allow the division to do that. The bill, just as a quick summary, modifies the scope of work to the Limited Renewable Energy Technician License, the LRT license. It modifies the kilowatt limit of electrical installations on which the LRT can work, and it allows the LRT to make AC electrical wiring and connections to the the termination of the final factory provided interconnecting cable on the exterior of a structure that extends a maximum distance of 10 feet from the new renewable energy system and extends no more than 3 feet within an accessible space of a structure and does not connect to the structure's wiring system. Just as a quick note, this is just a temporary rule for the moment. We will eventually come back to the board and ask for a permanent rule, at which point the board can decide if they want to change that 10 feet distance to whatever they feel is appropriate, or add any additional clarifications they would like to, but that is the division's plan at the moment. So this will require a motion, Madam Chair, and I'm happy to answer any questions I can answer.
I'll make a motion to approve the proposed amendment to OR 918-282-0033 and 0400 and forward to the administrator for rulemaking and subsequent adoption.
Ivy, can you take a vote, please?
Yes, ma'am. BJ Bolo,
Yay.
Elizabeth Bunga. Aye. Randy Carmody,
Aye.
John Flagel,
Aye.
Rob McNeil.
Aye.
Ryan Richards,
Aye.
Randy Smith,
Aye.
Chair Heather Miller,
Aye.
Madam Chair, the motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Debbie. Will there being no further business, this meeting is adjourned. See everybody in July.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.